What's up, guys? So yesterday I got a question from somebody asking me whether I eat white rice or brown rice. And it's funny because I've answered this question before on this channel. And I got one of these responses because I said I eat white rice more than brown rice. And I choose white rice over brown rice. And I got one of these responses. This is back when he had some hardcore IIFYM people, the If It Fits Your Macros people on. And I think this girl wrote a thing. It's like, do you really think that there's any difference between white rice and brown rice? They're the same calories. They're the same amount of carbohydrates. Carbohydrates don't differ amongst each other. Friggin' take your advice and go somewhere else, somewhere else, bro. And I can see her putting up the air quotes, bro. Those were the days, getting called a bro scientist and everything. So why don't I like brown rice? Why don't I think brown rice is a good nutritional choice? That probably confuses a lot of you because, you know, we know that brown rice is slower digesting. It's a slower digesting carbohydrate than white rice. We also know that brown rice is a little bit more nutritionally dense than white rice. So why don't I eat it? Well, here's the thing. When we're thinking about what foods we want to choose for our nutrition plans, as I've said in another video, the two most important concepts are, yes, one, nutritional density, but two, digestibility. It needs to be digestible. Anything that is not digestible is going to cause damage to your body, right? And it could cause damage that is going to far outweigh the nutritional benefits. For example, nuts, macadamia nuts, Brazil nuts, I love them, right? They're super nutritionally dense. They're really good for you. They're loaded with good fats, but they're really hard to digest. And so if you eat a bunch of them and you have a digestive system like mine, or even like yours, and you don't soak them, and you don't soak them overnight and freeze them and keep them from getting moldy, you can seriously cause some damage to your digestive tract. Now with brown rice as opposed to white rice, what you have to remember is that rice, of course, is a plant. And plants, just like animals, all of them, do not want to be eaten, right? They don't want to be eaten. So over thousands of years of being eaten, they've developed their own mechanisms for keeping themselves from being digested. Why? Because after you eat them, you poop out their seeds, and you help them procreate, right? Animals help them procreate. So white rice has something in it called phytic acid, P-H-Y-T-I-C. And it also has, or not white rice, brown rice has phytic acid, P-H-Y-T-I-C, that helps to keep it from being fully digested. Quinoa has the same thing. It's also, the difference between brown rice and white rice is that it's got that protective shell around it. That's the only difference, right? White rice is just brown rice that's had that shell removed. So brown rice is really, really hard to digest, right? And that's why it's a slower digesting food, right? Similarly, whole wheat, whole grain, all these things that we were once told are super good for us can cause massive amounts of damage to our intestinal tract because of undigested food particles. Now, when we have undigested food particles in our intestinal tract, one thing you have to remember is that your digestive tract also houses about 75% of your immune system. And that digestive tract, at times, the cell wall that's separating the digestive tract, all your waste and your food from your immune system, is only a single cell wall thick, right? And if some of those food particles get over that cell wall, what happens is you start to develop allergies, you start to develop reactions, you start to develop inflammation, right? And you start to develop things like leaky gut syndrome. And that could lead to a whole host of other problems down the line. So I avoid white rice, or no, I avoid brown rice. I avoid unsoaked nuts, right? I will only eat soaked nuts. I'm just kidding. And then I avoid whole wheat. I avoid anything that has that protective lining around it. And that's one reason why gluten is so bad is because your body really can't identify between that and the protein and your cell lining in your gut, right? So your body develops an intolerance or an allergy to it. And so I stay away from brown rice. I stay away from unsoaked quinoa. I stay away from whole wheat. I stay away from gluten. I stay away from a lot of grains and nuts and things like that that are hard to digest. When I eat salads, for example, I will cut the vegetables up into as small pieces as possible to break through that cell lining in the plant wall to make them a little bit more digestible. Or if I'm eating green vegetables, I will only eat them steamed or lightly sauteed. And that, again, is to make them a little bit more digestible, right? So to make a long story short, I only eat white rice because it's easier to digest, right? I understand that brown rice is a little bit more nutritionally dense, but the health concerns for me outweigh the benefits. And the other thing about carbohydrate intake in general is my reasoning for taking carbohydrates in the first place. If I'm eating carbohydrates, it's one of two reasons. I'm either enjoying a dessert after a long time of being very disciplined and I'm treating myself, or I am eating carbohydrates as a glycogen replenishment tool because I've done something crazy that day, like had a jiu-jitsu practice and did a run and did a lifting session all in one day. That would be a time that I would consume carbohydrates. And in those times when I'm consuming carbohydrates for recovery purposes, I don't necessarily want those carbohydrates digesting slow. I want them moving faster. So again, that's why I would choose white rice or potatoes or something like that. And if I'm going with something else, it would probably be a soaked quinoa. Like I said, I avoid most everything else there. So that's my take. That's the difference between white rice and brown rice. That is why I suggest eating white rice over brown rice. And that's why I suggest you take measures to make your plant foods more digestible so you can extract more nutrition from them. That's all I got for today, and I will talk to you guys very soon.